Later, other artists moved the rest of Michelangelo's statues into place. Two statues are at Lorenzo's feet, a woman called Dawn and a man called Dusk. Beneath Giuliano, there are two other sculptures, a woman called Day and a man called Night. These four statues were meant to show the passage of time. Michelangelo left one more complete statue for the temple, the Medicine Madonna. It shows the Virgin Mary holding the baby Jesus. But Michelangelo never saw any of these statues or the completed building again. Chapter 8: The Last Judgment. In Rome, Michelangelo settled into the house that Pope Julius II had given him long ago. Over the years, he had earned enough money to live a comfortable life. He was a famous sculptor now, and he even dressed more like a noble gentleman than a poor artist. He had a few servants and assistants who were like family to him. He had plenty of friends in Rome too, and was especially close to Vittoria Colonna, a wealthy widow. Like Michelangelo, she took her Catholic faith very seriously. They had long discussions about their faith and wrote poems for each other. After Pope Clement VII's death, Michelangelo thought he was free. Surely he would no longer have to paint the Last Judgment wall fresco. That had been Clement VII's project. Now he finally could work on Pope Julius II's tomb. But the new Pope, Paul III, told Michelangelo that he wanted him to paint the fresco. So in April 1535, Michelangelo started preparing the chapel wall. Michelangelo began to paint in May 1536. The wall was about 1700 square feet. It was smaller than the ceiling, but in some ways it was more difficult. The ceiling had beams running across it that divided the surface. The wall was just a big, empty space, and Michelangelo was now over 60. The work was difficult for him. In October 1541, the fresco was finally finished. At last, people were allowed to see it. Many were impressed by Michelangelo's work. It was a very detailed and powerful image, but some viewers were shocked. The Last Judgment is an important moment for Christians. The Bible says it is when the dead will be brought back to life on earth. Then God will raise some people to heaven and send others to hell. In Michelangelo's fresco, almost everyone was naked. They had huge muscles. These were the kinds of bodies that Michelangelo liked to sculpt in marble. Some people thought the fresco was brilliant. Some religious people were beginning to say that naked bodies were sinful. They shouldn't be seen in this way. Paintings in the temple. Times were changing, and Pope Paul III had built a new temple. He wanted Michelangelo to paint frescoes on the walls of what he called the Pauline Temple. Pope Julius II's family had agreed that Michelangelo would only have to sculpt 3 statues for Julius II's unfinished tomb. One of the statues had to be Moses. Michelangelo had completed that years earlier, and everyone agreed that it was a masterpiece. Michelangelo offered the sculpture two new statues of Rachel and Leah, women from the Old Testament of the Bible. He finished the new statues in less than a year. The tomb itself was completed in 1545. Pope Julius II's tomb was finally done. Michelangelo had sketched his first plans for it in 1505, 40 years earlier. The design had been changed many times. The contract had been negotiated again and again, but at last it was finished. The artists had completed the statues while beginning work on the frescoes for the Pauline Chapel. On one wall, he painted a scene from the Bible called The Conversation of Saint Paul. The other fresco showed the crucifixion of Saint Peter and other Bible scenes. Michelangelo finished them in late 1550. He was almost 75 years old, and the work had been exhausting. They were his last paintings. Pope Paul IV had died in November 1549, right before the frescoes were complete, but Michelangelo wasn't finished working for him. In 1546, the Pope had given Michelangelo another task. He wanted the sculptor to take over the rebuilding of St. Peter's Basilica, one of the most important churches in Catholic history. It had been built in the 4th century. Pope Julius II had ordered it to be rebuilt back in the early 1500s. Since then, several architects and artists have worked on the project. Even Raphael had drawn designs for it, but it was a massive project. Pope Paul IV had put Michelangelo in charge. After Pope IV's death, the new Pope, Julius III, had Michelangelo continue to work on St. Peter's. Michelangelo changed some parts of the design. He made it smaller, simpler, and stronger. He made sure there would be plenty of light. It would take almost 100 more years to finish St. Peter's Basilica. Other architects would make their changes too, but Michelangelo's designs are an important part of the final building.